Hello, my friends, and I have another exciting. Okay, it's not really that exciting. I have another book review for you. We have Never the Roses by Jennifer K. Lambert. This book, so the synopsis and the early reviews, a lot of them were saying that it was a like epic high fantasy romantasy situation. I don't know that I would necessarily call it any of those things. I would say we're looking at more of a cozy-ish, a dark cozy. Is that a thing? I don't know. We have our main character, Onira. She is a sorceress. She's tired of, she's been in debt and servitude, whatever, for her entire life, and she buys her way out, and she decides she wants to retire. She no longer wants to deal with the war, the drama, whatever, of, being a court sorceress. So she goes ahead, she builds herself a little situation off in the middle of the nowhere. She makes some magical friends, and we've got Bunny, who's basically like a direwolf type situation. We've got like a kestrel, who's supposed to be like the physical embodiment of a goddess, and we've got more wraith or wrath. I don't know. I believe it's a cat. Sounds very cat-ish. I don't know. They might have said at the beginning of the book that it was a cat. I don't honestly remember because I have been reading this book for what feels like forever. The first 25% of the book is just a whole lot of world building. The middle section actually gets slightly interesting because what happens is she decides that she's bored and she wants to go find a book. And the rival sorcerer from a neighboring kingdom apparently has the largest library. So she decides that she's going to use her magic to walk within dreams to get to his house, his castle, and borrow a book. And when she gets there, she finds this book. She decides that it's a great book and she's going to take it. And it's a book on gardening roses. Okay? Because she decided that in her retirement, she's going to start this garden. And anyways, he's livid. He doesn't understand that she's borrowing it. He doesn't understand, which she decides to keep it, so it's not really borrowing anymore. But, the sanctity of his house got invaded. He's mad about it. So they decide to start this, cat and mouse. And I think this is where it's supposed to be this romance. It doesn't give off these romancy vibes. I mean, you got a very small amount of yearning going on there, but it doesn't give this, till death do us part passion. It's just friends that are slightly more than friends, kind of, sort of. I don't know. And his kingdom decides that it wants to wage war on her kingdom, and it's a whole thing. But it doesn't, she doesn't really go on epic adventures. You don't have a quest of sorts. So there's no high fantasy element there. You don't have, elves and dragons and that kind of stuff in this. So we're missing that aspect of it. The romance aspect of it, I feel like is just severely lacking. It's got a brief romance with a gentleman named, well, he's not a gentleman, he's a twat, but a man named Tristan, or a boy named Tristan, technically. And Tristan is, honestly, if she would have stabbed Tristan at some point, that would have made this book better. Tristan is useless. I can't stand him. And for some reason, she's all heavy petting on him. It's not even heavy petting. It's like a medium petting on him. And then she decides that she doesn't find him interesting anymore, and so she goes ahead and now she's interested in her rivalry, Styranos, who she also calls Stormbreaker, which is a misnomer. And so we've got all these great elements of what could be a fantastic book. It does have a great magic system in place. It has a decent plot. But there's a lot of inner monologue going on and a lot of hemming and hawing over nothing. The banter isn't particular. I mean, there's a good amount of banter. There's a good amount of banter, but it's not good banter. You know, like I don't know how to explain it. And I wasn't sucked into this book like I thought I would be. I mean, it gives off this incredible, this incredible fantasy vibe that you want to really love. The synopsis sounds absolutely amazing. But for some reason, it just kind of fell short for me. It was a little bit flat, and I don't want to say it's necessarily boring, but I would say it's more calming or relaxing of a read, because you don't get those intense emotions that you usually have from a good epic. There's no actual battles happening. There's no actual fighting happening. It's just a girl who happens to have a ridiculous amount of magic that just wants to be left alone. But then she also doesn't want to be left alone because she invites a stranger into her house. She goes to visit another stranger. She mentions several times this whole aspect of purity, but then she also mentions at some point that she thinks about having children, but she doesn't necessarily want somebody else there. It's kind of a, I don't know. There's something about it that's just not quite hitting the right buttons. So I don't know. It's a book. It's a good book. It's just not a great book. It's not something that I would, consider a multiple read kind of book. It is listed as a standalone on most platforms. Most people I'm hearing are saying that it's a standalone, but it does leave us on a cliffhanger, which generally says that there's going to be a secondary book. And I do think that if some of these, more flat aspects were fixed, this could be a fantastic duology series if people can get past this first book. Because, like I said, the magic is there, the plot's there, the characters, I mean, they've all got their different things, and it does all come together. So, I'm just not really sure where I would place this in terms of genre, because it does not read high fantasy, it does not read epic, it does not read romantasy, and it's a little too dark. There's dark aspects to it to be considered a cozy. So it's a really interesting situation. But anyways, we're going to go ahead and we're going to get started on the next book. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. If you haven't already, thank you so much for watching. Please make sure that you hit the like and subscribe button. Comment, whether or not you've read this book, if this looks like something that you would enjoy. And I always read my comments, and I always try to make sure to respond to them. So if you get a chance, please make sure to do so that way I can get to know you guys a little bit better. But anyways, have a great rest of your day, guys. See you next time. Bye.